You're listening to the Back Porch Talk podcast. Danny and Jason had many discussions and debates on the back porch while making pivotal investment moves with assets. That's right, with trading cards. They welcome you to the back porch and right into those discussions about current sports news with a fresh and unique twist. So come on and join us. Welcome to the Back Porch Talk podcast. I'm your co-host, Jason.
Your co-host, Danny.
As we got a full show for you today. A little NBA talk, our Super Bowl picks, and anything extra that we just decided to bring about. First, though, to the NBA, Danny. Big trade done happened where Kyrie Irving actually goes to the Dallas Mavericks, traded to the Dallas Mavericks in exchange for Dinwiddie, Finney Smith, and also going to the Mavericks in that trade is Markieff Morris and a few second round picks floated in there as well. Danny, Kyrie asked for this trade. The Nets was like, "We tired of you. We tired of all this. Just be free of Kyrie and be free of quote unquote a headache." There's rumors circling that part of Kyrie's contract that the Nets were offering for an extension was to get to the NBA championship or to win the title. I don't know how true those rumors are. Kyrie is now a Dallas Maverick. Paired up with Luka. That's going to be interesting to see. Both are ball dominant.
Yep. Don't
know who's going to be playing the two. But I think Dallas made an interesting move here. Dinwiddie, someone who the Brooklyn Nets are familiar with. Finney Smith, decent defender. It may be a win-win situation here. But I think through it all, Danny, the more important question is, how does KD feel? KD could have went to the Knicks, but decided with Kyrie to go to the Brooklyn Nets. That duo in their time in Brooklyn was not successful. Not only now, but how does it shake out for Kyrie moving forward? Is he going to stay at Dallas Mavericks? Are the Dallas Mavericks going to extend him a contract, a long-term contract, a year-to-year contract, 2-year contract? What's going to happen there? And what other teams are really going to want Kyrie? So we'll see. What say you, Danny?
We'll see what the Nets do, how they approach this trade deadline, what they do with KD. The Nets have some interesting things to look at now going forward. And if they want to just go back to the team they were before they signed KD and Kyrie, and more of a no-name all-star type team that can get things done, or if they're going to try to bring somebody else in to complement KD and make that playoff run. As far as Kyrie is concerned, going to Dallas, defense is going to be one issue for that team. So they're going to have to outscore some teams, and it's going to take time to get chemistry because, Luka you talk about dribbling the air out of the ball. That's what Luka's game is. Now, he can see the floor. Luka's a good player, a great player. But complimenting him with Kyrie, it at least gives him somebody else to take that load off of his shoulders from a scoring perspective on the offensive end. And I look at, too, Dallas needed to make a move. They're always trying to make a splash and in free agency, and the free agents kind of just, snub their nose up at them. For whatever reason, why, I don't know, but this is the move they had to make, and they had to do it via trade to get some type of superstar in the house. As far as Kyrie long-term, I think he's just going to have to understand that his contract's going to be incentive-laden because it's availability. That's going to have to be a part of it, is either they're going to have to do something with the season length, but in Kyrie's case, it's going to be availability because in Brooklyn, Kyrie and KD weren't on the floor that much together because either Kyrie was out or KD was out. That's going to be the key for Dallas going into this playoff run. What's Kyrie's availability? And if he's there and if he's, balling out and everything to try to get that contract, what does that contract look like going forward from the new team if he doesn't stay with Dallas? And how does that all play out? Because me personally, if I'm signing him, you know what you're getting, but you got to have stipulations in place and he has to abide by them or he isn't getting paid. But that's a disruptor as well because you don't get flow. So if he decides to sit out or do what he needs to do, that impacts the chemistry and the flow of the team and dependability. I think it was a great trade from both sides. It helps both organizations. The Nets get rid of Kyrie and that saga, and then Dallas gets Kyrie and they get another superstar to complement Luka to possibly push them forward in the playoffs.
And this would be a kind of like a trial period too. Be a decision by the Dallas Mavericks at the end of the season on whether to offer Kyrie a long-term deal. Another interesting trade, Danny, was Dedmon being moved from the Miami Heat going to the San Antonio Spurs, and where the Miami Heat, they're starting to make some salary dump moves. We'll see what happens. It's been rumored about Jay Crowder coming up on the scene, either with the Miami Heat, Milwaukee Bucks. So Miami Heat's making some moves here to possibly add Jay Crowder. The hope is that the Bucks, still kind of make that trade. I think the Bucks were talking about Jordan Nora, George Hill, maybe a pick or something like that for Crowder. I think it's a second-round pick for Crowder. So we'll see there what really shakes out. Danny, what say you?
Yeah, the Heat, they're really trying to move Kyle Lowry. I'll tell you that. At least rumored to be. And because he comes with a hefty price tag. So if they could move him, dupe somebody into taking him just because he's not playing well right now. And, trying to make that move towards the playoffs and that seeding position is key. I'm very curious to see what they do. They're starting to play better now. And going into the All-Star break, that's key to get some momentum going into the second half. So, yeah, man, we got a couple days here, Jay. So it may be some wildness that happens after we record here, but I can't wait. But this Kyrie thing came out of left field. That kind of got everything rolling because I think everyone was waiting to see where he would go to then figure out what moves they're going to make, depending on if he was in the Eastern Conference or Western Conference, and how to adjust appropriately. So now that he's gone, I think some things are going to start shaking out sooner than later for the trade deadline.
I agree, but you know what? Then also, Danny, I think with Kyrie going to the Western Conference, I'm not as concerned with the Brooklyn Nets. This weekend's Brooklyn Nets, to some degree, in terms of talent-wise. So we'll see how that shakes out, and what other trades are happening in the Eastern Conference, and all.
Mm-hmm. I want to sleep on Spencer Dinwiddie. He can score.
Yep, he can score.
But yeah, just Kyrie's presence in the playoffs and just what he brings to the table, definitely brings Brooklyn down a notch. Mm-hmm. So.
And I say this too, what people don't realize is that we're more than halfway through the season.
Mm-hmm.
Bucks have already played 54 out of 82 games.
Yep.
So when they come back from the All-Star break, it's going to be a furious end for seeding and everything. Right now, the Milwaukee Bucks are only one game outside of the number one seed, where Boston Celtics are hanging on by a thread. Philadelphia 76ers are at the number 3 spot, followed up by Cleveland Cavaliers at the number 4 spot, 5 games out of the number 1 seed. And Brooklyn is 5.5 games out of the number 1 seed. And the 6th seed to wrap up here is the Miami Heat, where they're 9 games out of the first spot. But just as Miami is 9 games out of the first spot, they're only a half game ahead of the New York Knicks
for
this play-in tournament.
Yep.
The Hawks are only 2 games out of that 6th position. and the Bulls and Pacers are right there too. So this is going to be a furious ending of the season in terms of positioning and everything. So I think we want to see the best efforts here after the All-Star break.
Yeah, and shout out to Giannis. Dude's been playing on a different level these last couple of weeks. And now Middleton's starting to get back into the groove. So the Bucks are right on the heels of Boston. It's going to be a good run in the second half after the All-Star break.
The only thing I would say with the Bucks, Danny, is that Giannis to me is still bringing up the ball too much. He's turning the ball over way too much, and I think that's why you need to get it into the guard's hands a little bit more. I think when Middleton comes off the bench or is finally put into the starting position, I think he'll bring the ball up a little bit more to kind of help offload things. But I think Giannis brings the ball up way too much, and the decisions are not as quick. And I think everybody stands still and watches what Giannis is going to do. So the offense kind of lags a little bit. And I think in the playoffs, you need a little bit more movement. So hopefully we kind of get our act together here after All-Star break, start to kind of get a little bit more into a motion offense and kind of go on from there.
Yeah, Boston knows how to play that, so they better fix it.
Exactly. Because to me, if everybody's standing around on offense, that's giving the defense a chance to rest.
Yep.
And so I think that's something Milwaukee's definitely going to have to really, resolve there. And now, Danny, on to the Super Bowl. Big game on Sunday. Philadelphia Eagles and Kansas City Chiefs. Who you got?
Mahomes is getting better. And when we talked last, looking at this game, man, it should be a good game, honestly. I'm gonna go Philadelphia. It's hard to bet against Mahomes and Kelsey though right now, because they are playing lights out, and their defense actually held Cincinnati enough for them to get that victory. And I can see that where the moment may get too big for Jalen Hurts. This is his first time, his first playoff run. He's played really well, but this is where Mahomes could really sneak up and get them. I'm going to go Philly, but I think it's going to be a close game. We'll see, man. This one's tough, but I'm going to go Philadelphia.
Yeah, this is a tough one, Danny. I'm going to actually lean towards a not so advertised or promoted position or unit. That's the offensive line. I think Philadelphia's offensive line has been so great this year, and looking at the playoffs, regardless of who they played, their execution, I believe, has been outrageous. I think that continues. And I think by having that type of offensive line, that's going to help Jalen Hurts to actually calm down.
Yep.
And I think it's going to open up some positions here for him to actually run. But he also has weapons he can throw to as well. And so I think that combination and everything is going to be really interesting. I think Kansas City is going to do put a spy on them for obvious reasons. But I'm going to lean towards that offensive line, and I'm leaning towards the Eagles to actually win. But this is going to be close. It's going to be a real close game, Danny. And
I just know that Kansas City, if they lose, this puts them possibly in a bad spot, as far as legacy is concerned. So it's hard, man, because I like both Mahomes and Hurts.
Right.
So it's hard to cheer against one or the other. That's where the dilemma is here for me and my decision. But all in all, man, I'm going to go Philly, and we'll see what happens, man. Either way, I won't be disappointed. I just want a good game.
Yep.
Thank you for joining us at Back Porch Talk Podcast. You can also join us on Twitter by tweeting us at @back_podcast. For more information, you can go to our website, which is backporchtalkpodcast.com. You can also email us at backporchtalkpodcast@gmail.com. Again, thank you for joining us, and remember that there's enough hate in the world, so go ahead and spread a little love.